show Rust is on their out lap. The adrenaline is pumping. Chris Foley is on their out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how Chris Foley handles it.
You can feel the tension building. Ernest Heather is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time. This is where the mental game comes into play. Peter Geldenhuys is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run. It looks like Dylan Visagi is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tires and get everything just right. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Sean Olivier is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
The adrenaline is pumping. Dylan Visagi is on their out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Dylan Visagi can deliver.
Ryan Ludick is on their out lap. Ryan Ludick has completed their out lap. There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Wow, look at Sean Olivier go. They're really turning on the jets in this qualifying session. The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Peter Geldenhuys is rising to the occasion. Keen Gauss is on their first flying lap. Keen Gauss has completed their first flying lap in 1:52.878. This is where the mental game comes into play. Chris Foley is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run.
Patience is key in these early moments, Hal. But I have a feeling Chris Foley is going to make it count.
Woohoo, Sean Olivier is really turning up the heat out there. I'm getting goosebumps just watching them go.
Well, Hal, it seems like Sean Olivier has got the need for speed and nothing is going to stop them now.
Someone call the fire department, because Keen Gauss is setting this track on fire with their performance.
It's amazing what a little bit of adrenaline and a lot of horsepower can do, right, Hal? Keen Gauss is just showing us all what they're made of.
It looks like Ernest Heather is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tires and get everything just right.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused, while also pushing the limits.
Wayne Midden is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid. It's clear that Jano van der Westhuizen is on a mission in this qualifying session. They're pushing their car to the limit. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Keen Gauss has some work to do, as that 1:52.277 is only good enough for 6th. I don't know about you, but I think Ryan Ludick might have a secret rocket booster hidden in their car. They're just that fast. Megan Paxton looks to be off the pace. Ada, what do you think they need to do to improve? Michelle Rust is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid. Michelle Rust will be happy having put themselves into third in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for them to improve further on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. They need to drive smooth and smart.
Looks like Dylan Visage is channeling their inner Schumacher today. They're absolutely flying out there. I think I just saw a blur fly by. Oh wait, that's just Mark Guy going at lightning speed. Michelle Rust looks to be off the pace. Ada, what do you think they need to do to improve?
That's right. It's all or nothing now. They need to stay focused, hit their marks, and extract every ounce of performance from that car to move up the grid.
It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Melvin Gauss is nailing both. Melvin Gauss has just completed a lap in 1:52.303. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. Ismail Ali is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
Looks like Ismail Ali is really cooking with gas out there today.
Time to bring out the marshmallows and let's toast some fuel. Ismail Ali has some work to do as that 1:55.362 is only good enough for 11th. A disappointing performance from Kevin Kraus so far in this qualifying session. Finding themselves in 16th position is certainly not what they were aiming for. However, they have the talent and experience to bounce back and salvage a better result. Disappointing performance from Chris Foley in this qualifying session. Currently in 14th position, they'll need to dig deep and find some. Chris Foley has just completed that lap in 1:55.837. Their best lap so far is 1:55.748, putting them in P14. Will they be able to hold onto that spot? It's been a struggle for Ismail Ali in qualifying. As of now, they find themselves in 11th position, which is well below their expectations. However, motorsport is unpredictable, and there's still an opportunity for them to shine and move up the grid. It's been a challenging session for Chris Foley. They're currently languishing in 14th position, which is not where they had envisioned themselves. But in motorsport, anything can happen, and with their skill and determination, they might still turn things around.
Absolutely, Hal. Chris Foley is facing a challenging situation, but they have the skill and determination to turn things around. It's not over until the checkered flag, and they still have a chance to improve their result.
A tough outing for Adrian Gauss in qualifying today. They currently sit in 15th position, which is far from ideal. However, there's a chance for them to regroup, analyze their data, and make some adjustments to their setup to improve their result. A challenging session for Kevin Kraus so far. They're currently in 16th position, which is not where they wanted to be. But in motorsport, we've seen remarkable comebacks, and they'll be hoping to turn their fortunes around and secure a better result.
I couldn't agree more, Hal. Kevin Kraus is facing a tough challenge, but they are known for their fighting spirit. This qualifying session is a test of their character, and I believe they have what it takes to overcome this setback.
Not the ideal start for Adrian Gauss in this qualifying session. Currently in 15th position, they'll be eager to put together a strong final lap to improve their standing. The pressure is on, and they'll need to deliver their best performance. Adrian Gauss has completed their outlap. Ryan Ludick will be looking to convert their pole position into a win.
But it's also a nightmare if they can't hold on to it. Let's see how they will handle the pressure.
The second place on the grid belongs to Dylan Visagi, a driver with plenty of experience.
Dylan Visagi will be taking no prisoners today.
Sean Olivier will look to make a splash from the third position on the starting grid. Melvin Gauss will begin the race from the fourth spot on the starting grid. We're seeing Michel Rust in the fifth spot. The lights are off, the gloves are on, and it's go time.
Maintaining composure is essential in this high-stakes environment. The ability to react and adapt will be the key to success.
Establishing an early advantage will be crucial to the outcome of this race. I think passing is going to be difficult today here at Pakisa Freeway Grand Prix Circuit, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers get on.
I'm looking forward to burning some rubber here, Hal.
There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is looking to get off to a good start.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds.
Having started in 7, Keen Gauss will be looking to establish themselves in this race. This is going to be one hell of a race. I can already feel it. These early salvos will shape the outcome of this race. There's not much to report on from Keegan Paxton at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps.
Consistency is key in racing. Keegan Paxton just needs to keep doing what they're doing and wait for opportunities to present themselves.
As a former racing driver, Ada, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Hal. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the right decisions on track. A strong bond between the driver and the team can be the difference between winning and losing.
The tension is building as Ryan Ludick trails behind Melvin Gauss. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Melvin Gauss hold on, or will Ryan Ludick be able to close them down? It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Jano van der Westhuizen, who is currently in P9, but Wayne Midden is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Jano van der Westhuizen.
That's right, Jano van der Westhuizen in 9th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Wayne Midden is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
That driver is really pushing the limits. They're riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
It's looking good for Mark Guy, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Kevin Kraus. We're starting to see who really has the pace now in this race as Keen Gauss is starting to climb all over the back of Melvin Gauss. Any closer and they may need to pop the boot.
Melvin Gauss needs to get the lead out, Hal, otherwise their backside is going to look like the Japanese flag come the morning.
Looks like Keen Gauss is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can
Hold up, breaking info. I don't think that's the fastest way around Pakisa Freeway Grand Prix Circuit. It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Melvin Gauss trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Michel Rust. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Melvin Gauss close in enough to mount a challenge? It's a game of inches now as Jano van der Westhuizen tails Wayne Midden closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake.
It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. Who will come out on top? This is racing at its finest.
Wayne Midden is giving it their all as they chase down Jano van der Westhuizen in P8.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds.
Breaking news, folks. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The battle for 8 is heating up as Wayne Midden tries to catch Jano van der Westhuizen in P8.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Wayne Midden is really walking that tightrope.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Keegan Paxton is chasing Chris Foley in P10. Wayne Midden is on a mission, chasing Jano van der Westhuizen, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
Can Wayne Midden close the 0.3 second gap and make a pass?
Superb driving from Wayne Midden, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
You can't argue with results like that. Wayne Midden is really making their mark on this race.
Hold on a second. Things don't look to be going Melvin Gauss's way, as already they're into the pits. It's a battle of wills out there, with Sean Olivier trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Keane Gauss. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? Keegan Paxton is running 10th. They are trying to catch Chris Foley.
This is where every inch counts. Keegan Paxton is pushing hard to close the gap on Chris Foley. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Adrian Gauss could be looking for a way up the inside of Mark Guy.
There is no room for error in this battle.
Things are heating up as Jano van der Westhuizen tries to close the gap to Peter Geldenhuis.
The mental game is just as important here. Jano van der Westhuizen must keep their cool while putting pressure on Peter Geldenhuis.
The crowd is on tender hooks as Mark Guy in 13th chases after Ernest Heather. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Mark Guy find a way to catch up? Look at that, Sean Olivier is hot on the tail of Keane Gauss. The race is heating up as Jano van der Westhuizen in 7th closes in on Peter Geldenhuis. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. It's a thrilling pursuit as Ernest Heather is right behind Mark Guy, keeping the pressure on for 12th place. The best laid plans of mice and men ha-ada, but it's certainly not going to plan for Ernest Heather right now as they are struggling to keep up with Mark Guy.
Ernest Heather needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Mark Guy.
The gap between Jano van der Westhuizen in 7th and Peter Geldenhuis remains over a second, but Jano van der Westhuizen is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 9 minutes?
This is where experience comes into play. Peter Geldenhuis has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Jano van der Westhuizen is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the titans?
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Sean Olivier, as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Sean Olivier is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
It's game on now. Sean Olivier has closed the gap to Keen Gauss. It's now down to 0.5 seconds. Hold on a second. Looks like that's a mistake from Adrian Gauss. This could be costly.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 10 kph out there right now.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Sean Olivier is closing in on Keen Gauss. Sean Olivier is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Keen Gauss to 0.1 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
Hold on a second. Oh dear, Keen Gauss has had an incident.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they've been looking at a decent result.
The tension is building as Wayne Midden trails behind Keen Gauss. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Keen Gauss hold on, or will Wayne Midden be able to close them down? The race is really heating up. Keegan Paxton is hunting down Chris Foley with everything they've got. Hold on a second. That won't be ideal for Jano van der Westhuizen.
Jano van der Westhuizen is not going to be happy about that.
Wow, Keegan Paxton is really pushing hard to catch up to Chris Foley. There's blood in the water for 8th place. Keegan Paxton has got their head down now, working those exits and apexes and setting their best lap times so far with a 1 minute. Anyone who says that SRA is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds, and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Mark Guy will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
Absolutely. Mark Guy in 11th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Keegan Paxton trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Chris Foley. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Keegan Paxton close in enough to mount a challenge?
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Keegan Paxton tries to reel in Chris Foley. But Chris Foley is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Keegan Paxton find some extra pace to bring the fight to Chris Foley?
It's a battle of wills out there, with Ernest Heather trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Mark Guy. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race?
It's going to be tough for Ernest Heather, as Mark Guy seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Ernest Heather pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
It looks like Keegan Paxton is pushing hard to catch up to Chris Foley. The gap is over a second, but Keegan Paxton is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Chris Foley? The crowd is on tender hooks as Mark Guy in 11th chases after Ismail Ali. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Mark Guy find a way to catch up?
That's right, Mark Guy in 11th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Ismail Ali is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
The race is heating up as Wayne Mitten in 7th closes in on Keen Gauss. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. The tension is building as Mark Guy trails behind Ismail Ali. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Ismail Ali hold on, or will Mark Guy be able to close them down? It's not going to plan for Mark Guy. They are still behind Ismail Ali and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
Things are going according to plan for Chris Foley, who is currently 8th. It's not looking good for Ismail Ali. They are still behind Mark Guy and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
It's not ideal for Ismail Ali, but they can still turn this around. They need to focus on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
Oh, this is getting intense. Jano van der Westhuizen is just a few car lengths behind Chantal de Jager. A great moment for Jano van der Westhuizen, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
That's what we like to see. Jano van der Westhuizen is really showing their class today.
The pressure is on for Chantal de Jager as they try to catch up to Melvin Gauss. The gap between Chantal de Jager and Melvin Gauss is growing. It's now up to 2.6 seconds.
It's not over yet, but Chantal de Jager needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Melvin Gauss.
Look at that, they're trading places in every turn, a constant game of cat and mouse. Each driver knows one mistake could cost them dearly. Stop the press. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The gap between Keen Gauss in 6th and Peter Geldenhuis remains over a second, but Keen Gauss is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 1 minute? It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Sean Olivier, who is currently in P4, but Michel Rust is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Sean Olivier.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Michel Rust is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Sean Olivier in P4 doing everything they can to catch up.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Keen Gauss trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Peter Geldenhuis. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Keen Gauss close in enough to mount a challenge? Every move counts now as Sean Olivier works to reel in Michel Rust and overtake for P3.
With just 0.4 seconds between them, will Sean Olivier be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. This is a thrilling battle as Sean Olivier edges closer to Michel Rust in their fight for P3. It looks like Jano van der Westhuizen is pushing hard to catch up to Melvin Gauss. The gap is over a second, but Jano van der Westhuizen is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Melvin Gauss?
Absolutely. Jano van der Westhuizen in 16th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
A solid performance from Peter Geldenhuys, who is holding down 6th.
Definitely, but they can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers who are gunning for that position, and Peter Geldenhuys has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
The crowd is on tender hooks as Keegan Paxton in 9th chases after Chris Foley. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Keegan Paxton find a way to catch up? The gap between Keegan Paxton and Chris Foley is widening. It's now up to 0.7 seconds. How do racing drivers, like yourself back in the day, Ada, train themselves to maintain concentration for long periods of time?
Mental training is a huge part of a driver's preparation. How? Techniques like meditation, visualization, and working with sports psychologists can help drivers build their focus and mental endurance for a race.
On the final lap now, and Dylan Visagi looks like they might just wrap up this win.
They're not leaving anything on the table.
The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for Dylan Visagi.
You can see the sheer determination on Dylan Visagi's face as they take the win. That's the mark of a true champion, folks.
Impressive second-place finish for Ryan Ludick.
Brilliant. Ryan Ludick showed great skill and determination to take second place.
What a race from Sean Olivier, showing their skill and determination for a great third-place finish. Michelle Rust and Jano van der Westhuizen in 4th and 16th. Keen Gauss, Wayne Midden, and Adrian Gauss end in 5th, 6th, and 13th. Peter Geldenhuys brings home 7th. Chris Foley and Keegan Paxton take 8th and 9th. Coming in 14th, we have Melvin Gauss. Finishing 17th is Kevin Kraus. In 10th, it's Ismail Ali. Fifteenth is Chantel de Jager. Taking 11th is Ernest Heather. It's a very still day here at Pakisa Freeway Grand Prix circuit, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Starting from pole position is a dream come true for Ernest Heather.
But they can't let that advantage go to waste. They will need to stay focused and keep their eyes on the prize.
In the second position, we have Ismail Ali ready to tackle the race ahead.
Putting that BCRC MODS RX8 Cup 2024 into prime position for the race.
Taking the third spot is Keegan Paxton.
It's like they're on the outside looking in. Can they make their way to the front of the pack?
Holding strong in fourth place is Chris Foley.
Could we see a podium result from Chris Foley?
And just like that, the race has started. Now, we'll see who has the skill and nerve to outmaneuver their rivals.
Staying out of trouble in these early moments is crucial. It's a fine line between pushing hard and staying safe.
As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race. The tension is palpable here. No one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap.
Let's hope they all brought their A-games today.
Is there a better sight than a field of elite racing drivers battling for position? A great start to the race there from Sean Olivier. That's really gonna put the cat among the pigeons.
Yeah, great start. Now Sean Olivier just needs to keep it together and keep out of trouble.
The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one. Terrible news for Ernest Heather, already losing places, and the race is just only getting started.
I'm sure Ernest Heather isn't laughing, but they've given us a bit of comic relief with that slow start. Time to get serious and make up some ground.
The battle for 13 is heating up as Adrian Gauss tries to catch Jano van der Westhuizen in P13.
It's a game of strategy now as Adrian Gauss hunts down Jano van der Westhuizen. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
I'm sure Ryan Ludick in fourth is starting to notice Sean Olivier is right on their tail, and is still closing that gap. Can can they hold onto their position? Oh, the pressure is really getting to Ryan Ludick. They've just lost fourth spot to Sean Olivier and they need to regroup quickly.
Absolutely. They need to rethink their approach and come up with something new, or they risk losing even more ground. On the other hand, Sean Olivier has been making some impressive moves and looks like a serious contender.
Oh, the Chantal de Jager is in trouble.
They're coming up fast on Keen Gauss and there's no way they're going to be able to slow down in time.
Looks like someone needs to tell Chantal de Jager that this isn't a demolition derby. That kind of driving just won't cut it at this level.
Absolutely right, Hal. And let's not forget Chantal de Jager has already had a few close calls this race. They need to start driving smarter if they want to finish at all.
It's all eyes on this battle as Sean Olivier in third tries to hold off the challenge of Melvin Gauss. A setback for Sean Olivier, who has just been passed.
Definitely, but Sean Olivier is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
Fantastic move from Sean Olivier, who has just gained a position.
Impressive. Sean Olivier is really showing their skill and determination out there.
Ryan Ludick is giving it their all as they chase down Melvin Gauss in P4. pursuit is on. Wayne Midden is closing the gap on Keegan Paxton, determined to claim P6.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
Ernest Heather seems to be putting the pressure on Dylan Visagi. Melvin Gauss is running third. They are trying to catch Sean Olivier.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Melvin Gauss needs to be careful not to overdo it.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Ismail Ali will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. Jano van der Westhuizen is on a mission, chasing Chris Foley, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
I think they are going to take them.
I don't think that's the fastest way around Pakisa Freeway Grand Prix circuit. It's a close race between Sean Olivier and Michel Rust in first. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Sean Olivier gaining places and Michel Rust losing them.
Yes, but Sean Olivier can't rest on their laurels. They have to keep pushing to consolidate their position.
The pressure is really on for Michel Rust in third as Ryan Ludick is closing in. This is where experience and skill really count. This is a tough break for Michel Rust. They've braking alert. Looks like that's a mistake from Michel Rust. This could be costly.
Whoops, Michel Rust is going to be kicking themselves.
Look at that. Keegan Paxton is hot on the tail of Wayne Midden.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Dylan Visagi is chasing Keegan Paxton in P7. The intensity is off the charts as Jano van der Westhuizen hounds Ernest Heather, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit.
The only thing closer than Jano van der Westhuizen to Ernest Heather right now is the paint on their cars. Talk about a close encounter.
Things are getting spicy now, as Dylan Visagi and Keegan Paxton look to battle it out for 7th place.
It's a close race as we can see, and Dylan Visagi is doing a great job defending their position. Will Keegan Paxton be able to squeeze through?
Wayne Midden wants to get into Dylan Visagi's slipstream. The tension is building as Keegan Paxton trails behind Wayne Midden. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Wayne Midden hold on, or will Keegan Paxton be able to close them down? The gap between Peter Geldenhuys in 11th and Chris Foley remains over a second, but Peter Geldenhuys is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 10 minutes?
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Peter Geldenhuys in 11th determined to catch up. But we know Chris Foley isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Peter Geldenhuys is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Chantal de Jager breaking alert. Oh dear, Keegan Paxton has had an incident. Oh, this is getting intense. Melvin Gauss is just a few car lengths behind Sean Olivier. It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Peter Geldenhuys, who is currently in P11. But Chris Foley is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Peter Geldenhuys. Oh, this is getting intense. Chantal de Jager is just behind Kevin Kraus. race is heating up as Melvin Gauss in second closes in on Sean Olivier. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. The crowd is on tender hooks as Keegan Paxton in ninth chases after Jano van der Westhuizen. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Keegan Paxton find a way to catch up?
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Keegan Paxton tries to reel in Jano van der Westhuizen. But Jano van der Westhuizen is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Keegan Paxton find some extra pace to bring the fight to Jano van der Westhuizen?
Hold that thought. Hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Ismail Ali.
Pakistan Freeway Grand Prix circuit is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
The pressure is on for Peter Geldenhuys as they try to catch up to Chris Foley. Great driving from Peter Geldenhuys, who has just gained a place and moved up to 10th.
Yes, Peter Geldenhuys is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
As a former driver, Ada, how did you manage the physical demands of racing?
It's all about preparation, Hal. Drivers undergo rigorous fitness training to build their strength, stamina, and flexibility. A proper diet and hydration plan is also essential to ensure peak performance on race day.
Looks like Kevin Kraus is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
Sean Olivier is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
Ryan Ludick wants to close that gap with Sean Olivier. This is a thrilling battle as Peter Geldenhuys edges closer to Chris Foley in their fight for P9. It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Ismail Ali trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Peter Geldenhuys. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Ismail Ali close in enough to mount a challenge?
This is where experience comes into play. Peter Geldenhuys has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Ismail Ali is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the titans?
It's an intense battle for position as Ryan Ludick tries to outmaneuver Sean Olivier. This is edge of your seat racing. I don't think that's the fastest way around Pakistan Freeway Grand Prix circuit.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they've been looking at a decent result.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Ryan Ludick is closing in on Sean Olivier.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Ryan Ludick needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Seems like Chris Foley is getting in range of Peter Geldenhuys. Ismail Ali wants to find a way round Keane Gauss. It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. A great pass for Keane Gauss as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Chris Foley has lost ground.
Absolutely, Hal. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and Keane Gauss can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep driving with intensity and focus.
Heartbreak for Keane Gauss as they slip down the field. Every move counts now as Ismail Ali works to reel in Keen Gauss and overtake for P11.
The gap between them is now just over 0.4 seconds. Who will come out on top?
Things are heating up as Ryan Ludig tries to close the gap to Sean Olivier. Hold on to your hats, folks. Keen Gauss is right on the heels of Chris Foley, and we're in for a wild ride. And Keen Gauss has just won the place from Chris Foley.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see.
I think we just got time for a quick shout out to our human creators, Dave, Andy, John and Nigel, who have put so much effort into making this possible.
Yes, it's been a real thrill ride, and I for one can't wait to see what's coming next.
Apparently we are going to be announcing crashes and incidents soon. Let's hope they get the logic right. Ismail Ali is giving it their all as they chase down Chris Foley in P11.
The gap is 0.4 seconds now. Ismail Ali is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Chris Foley.
Ryan Ludig is on a mission, chasing Sean Olivier, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
Will Ryan Ludig be able to make a move and pass Sean Olivier?
Big gains for Ryan Ludig as they move up the field, leaving Sean Olivier behind.
Absolutely. Ryan Ludig is showing great pace and determination, but they can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
The action is non-stop as Sean Olivier shadows Ryan Ludig through every twist and turn, determined to claim second. Paxton could be looking for a way up the inside of Peter Geldenhuys. This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Ismail Ali will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
That's right. Ismail Ali in 12th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Chris Foley is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. The tension is palpable. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown? A brilliant maneuver from Keen Gauss, who has just moved up the field.
Absolutely. Keen Gauss is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
I'm curious, Ada, can you tell us about any pre-race rituals you had when you were racing?
Of course, Hal. Before every race, I would listen to a specific playlist of songs to help me get in the zone. I also had a lucky pair of socks that I would wear during races. It may sound silly, but those little rituals helped me feel prepared and focused.
The race is really heating up. Ismail Ali is hunting down Chris Foley with everything they've got. The tension is building as Dylan Visagi trails behind Sean Olivier. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Sean Olivier hold on, or will Dylan Visagi be able to close them down?
Absolutely. Dylan Visagi in 4th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
3 cars, 3 different lines. They're jockeying for position, looking for any opportunity to make a move.
You said it, Hal. The different lines they're taking demonstrate their strategic thinking. It's fascinating to see how they adapt their approaches to gain an advantage.
Incredible, Chris Foley is caught in a fierce battle, with Ismail Ali breathing down their neck 0.1 seconds away, and Keegan Paxton just ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds. It's a test of their racing skills.
No doubt about it, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind are like a constant reminder for Chris Foley. They need to maintain their pace to defend their position and potentially make a move.
Talk about being caught in the middle. Chris Foley is sandwiched between their rivals, Ismail Ali 0.1 seconds behind and Keegan Paxton 0.1 seconds ahead. The battle for position is on. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Sean Olivier is chasing Dylan Visagi in P3. The gap between Ismail Ali and Chris Foley is razor thin as they vie for 11th in this nail-biting contest. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 4 kph out there right now.
It looks like Ismail Ali is pushing hard to catch up to Chris Foley. The gap is over a second, but Ismail Ali is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Chris Foley? It's like Melvin Gauss has saved all their energy for this final stretch.
That's an impressive burst of speed. It's all but said and done now.
And there it is. Melvin Gauss has completed the race in first place, setting a blistering pace that none of the other drivers could match. What a fantastic race from Ryan Ludick, who brings it home in second place.
Intense race, but Ryan Ludick held their nerve and earned a great second place.
That was an outstanding performance from Dylan Visagi. They fought hard and took the final spot on the podium. With Michelle Rust, Sean Olivier, Wayne Midden, and Jano van der Westhuizen in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Peter Geldenhuys, Keen Gauss, and Kevin Kraus in 8th, 9th, and 15th. Keegan Paxton and Chris Foley brings home 10th and 11th. 12th and 13th sees Ernest Heather and Ismail Ali. Adrian Gauss claims 16th. Finishing 14th is Chantel de Jager.